Hello and welcome. I'm Saeed from StoryPlanet.net. Dive right into the essence of the most captivating books without reading them cover to cover. Whether you're on the go, at the gym, or just relaxing at home, we offer you a unique and enriching listening experience. Today, we are exploring the book, Finding Meaning in an Imperfect World, a creation by Iddo Landau. In his book, Finding Meaning in an Imperfect World, 2017, Iddo Landau demystifies the perplexing question of life's meaning by providing us with a clear and logical framework. He acquaints us with theories that uncover the significance of life and offers practical methods to enrich that significance. Before we delve into these revelations, it's interesting to note that Iddo Landau, a professor of philosophy at Haifa University, Israel, has extensively written about the topic of the meaning of life. With 8 key ideas to unveil, brace yourself for a deep dive into this captivating book on StoryPlanet.net. To start, the text is urging the reader to explore the various ways in which life can have meaning for them. The text explores philosophical questions about the meaning of life and the possibility of finding meaning in a world filled with suffering. It suggests that these questions may seem impossible to solve, but can be understood through easy, straightforward arguments. It argues that everyone's life can be meaningful and that philosophical tools can be used to think about and answer life's big questions. The text also highlights why perfectionists may not have meaningful lives and provides examples of everyday experiences that can help us understand the meaning of life. Key idea number 1. The question about the meaning of life is ultimately about value. The key point is that when we talk about the meaning of life, we are really talking about value. When people feel that their life has no meaning, they usually mean that it lacks value. Leo Tolstoy, despite his achievements, felt that his life was meaningless because they lost value to him. When we think about the purpose of our existence, we are also considering what we find valuable. A purpose or goal that is seen as valuable will give meaning to our lives. Key idea number 2. Don't obsess over finding the perfect meaning of life. Many philosophers and individuals believe that a meaningful life involves achieving something difficult or extraordinary. This perfectionism leads to the belief that most lives are meaningless if they don't reach exceptional levels of achievement. However, it is argued that perfectionism is inconsistent and unrealistic, leading to disappointment. Life doesn't need to be perfect to be fantastic or meaningful. Applying unrealistic standards to the meaning of life is comparable to expecting a dog to drive a car or calling someone a failure for not being as productive as Superman. Key idea number 3. Death does not strip life of its purpose or significance. The story of Sisyphus from Greek mythology teaches us that the value of life is not determined by its eventual end. The argument that things that don't last forever can't be valuable is flawed. We appreciate and find value in things like a clean kitchen floor, even though we know it will get dirty again. We also find value in temporary things like a beautiful tree, even though it will eventually die. The same is true for our own lives. Key idea number 4. The belief in free will is not necessary for a meaningful life. The text explores the concept of determinism, the belief that everything happens for a reason and that free will is an illusion. It argues that even if determinism is true, life can still be meaningful because we value achievements and accomplishments, regardless of whether they were made by choice or inherited talents. It uses examples such as sports, music, literature, and art to support this perspective. The text concludes that free will is not the most important factor in creating meaning in life. Key idea number 5. Living life for its own sake is meaningful in itself. The key message here is that life lived for its own sake is plenty meaningful. While many people find meaning in having goals or dedicating their lives to something beyond themselves, it is also possible for life to have intrinsic value. Intrinsic value refers to things that are valuable in themselves and don't need to be a means to an end. Life itself can be valuable and meaningful without needing a specific goal or purpose. Key idea number 6. The loss of meaning in life does not necessarily render life entirely without meaning. The paradox of the end is the idea that we often lose interest and meaning in our goals once we achieve them. However, this doesn't mean that life is meaningless overall. Some goals, like raising a child or overcoming an obstacle, provide lasting meaning. Additionally, goals that are ongoing, like being a good partner or teacher, can provide ongoing satisfaction. The experience of the paradox is not inevitable and can be influenced by education, upbringing, and behaviors. Recognizing the tendency allows for a different approach. Key idea number 7. Despite the presence of pain and suffering, life can still hold meaning. Despite the pain and suffering in life, there is still room for a hopeful view of meaning. While philosophers like Schopenhauer argue that suffering makes life meaningless, there are flaws in this reasoning. History is filled with examples of people finding meaning in extreme conditions and even in the midst of deliberate suffering caused by others. It is important to acknowledge both the bad and the good parts of reality and human nature. Key idea number 8. You can find meaning in your life by taking proactive steps. The usual arguments about life being meaningless don't hold up. It's possible to find meaning in life by reflecting on what is already meaningful, what could be added, and what could be removed. Looking at the lives of others and imagining the end of life can provide perspective. Life is already full of meaning, but we often fail to appreciate it. By being more aware and making small changes, we can start to see the value in our lives. In conclusion, life can often feel meaningless, but we don't need to be perfectionists about finding meaning. Despite suffering and tragedy, there are ways to find value in our lives. Taking concrete steps can make our lives more meaningful. To explore this further, check out The Power of Meaning by Emily Esfahani Smith, which offers guidance on living a more meaningful life. Thank you for listening to this summary. If you enjoyed this exploration, we invite you to discover other fascinating books on storyplanet.net. Don't wait any longer. A multitude of books, stories, and knowledge await you there. See you soon on storyplanet.net.